Sunday Funday in Koreatown by Aram Kim. Sunday is fun day. Yumi wakes up to watch her favorite TV show. But not today. Your show is cancelled. The soccer playoffs are on. On Sundays, Dad helps Yumi make anything she wants for breakfast. Let's make kimbap. But not today. We ran out of rice, says Dad. Yumi eats cereal. Yumi gets ready. She's going to wear her favorite shirt. Oh no! It will dry tomorrow, says Mom. But tomorrow isn't fun day, says Yumi. Mom helps Yumi put on her second favorite shirt. On Sundays, Yumi and Dad ride the bus to Koreatown. The library book mobile is their first stop. Yumi wants to read the Korean folktale about the grandma and the tiger. That book is already checked out, says Miss Ra. This book is good too. Next stop is the Korean grocery store where they have everything. In the bakery, only one hot dog twist is left. Hurry, Dad, Yumi says. Oh no! Crunchy. That was my favorite, says Yumi. Sunday Funday is not going well. Dad orders patbingsu. Yummy, says Yumi. After the patbingsu, Yumi and Dad keep shopping. Try some tteokbokki, your brother's favorite, says Dad. Oh no! Sunday Funday is ruined, says Yumi. Not so, says Dad. It isn't finished yet. We are going to visit Grandma. But when Yumi rings the bell, no one answers. She rings again. No one. Today is not a fun day. Then there is Grandma. Grandma's sweater is the perfect dress for Yumi. The book Miss Ra recommended is so fun. And now they make kimbap. What's not to love about Sunday Funday? Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy the story.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Own Voices Virtual Reading Room. I'm so pleased today to have with us Aram Kim. She is going to be speaking to us a little bit about the motivation, her inspiration for writing Sunday Funday in Koreatown. And here she is, Aram. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me here. I'm very good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. And we're so pleased to have you. It's a wonderful reading, such a colorful, beautiful illustrated book, and perfect for a young audience. So we're very pleased to have you and very pleased to be partnering with Holiday House on this reading. So maybe we can get started with a question. And what we want to know is, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your background?
Sure. So my name is Aram Kim. I'm an author illustrator for the children's picture books. I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. My family was living there for about 7 years, and they moved back to South Korea when I was 2 years old, where I grew up. And I moved to New York about 15 years ago to study illustration. And now I live in Queens, very happily surrounded by diverse food and very great, amazing mix of neighbors.
Great, perfect. Thanks for letting us know. Queens is super diverse. I think it's one of the most diverse cities in the entire country. And, Asian society is very close to Queens. So we definitely have a lot of guests, authors, illustrators coming in from that area. So that's really great. So can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration for writing Sunday Funday in Koreatown and all of the You, Me, and Friends series, because our audience may not know, maybe they've seen on our website that there are other books in the series. And so if you want to talk to us a little bit about that.
Sure thing. So I can start with Sunday Funday in Koreatown, because that actually was the project that started very, very long time ago, that sat with me for like many, many years. And then that came back to the surface a few years ago. So that was inspired actually by two of my favorite memories. One is from my childhood, and another one is after I became an adult. So one from the childhood is that I used to go out for a really long walk with my dad on Sundays, because Sunday was his only day off. So we used to spend a lot of time together. So we'd go out on an adventure, go for a long walk, go visit grandma. So that was my very cherished memory from the childhood that inspired the whole story. But then the second memory is that after I became an adult and when I moved to New York City, everything was so new and foreign and strange. So I was missing home a lot. And I was just walking around city a lot at the time just to explore. And I stumbled upon a Koreatown without knowing that it even existed there. And that just amazed me so much. All these like Korean stores, restaurants, hair salons, and bookstores. So that was one of my favorite memories after I came to New York. So the Sunday Funday in Koreatown is kind of that mixture of my favorite memories. And I was so excited that I got this book out to the world and got to share with everyone.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And for those of you in our audience who have been to a Koreatown in any city, it is definitely a delight. I mean, the grocery stores themselves are just fascinating, and there's so many new products and different types of vegetables that we don't usually see in our local market. So it is definitely a really fun experience. Can you tell us a little bit maybe about Sunday Funday in Koreatown? Like what is the problem? What is it that Yumi experiences? And what is the lesson that she finally learns in the story?
Definitely. As you said, the supermarket is actually, it's funny because supermarket is usually not fascinating, but in Koreatown, I think like those grocery stores are fascinating because it really does have everything. And in the book, I do have a page that the next stop is a grocery store where they have everything. Mm-hmm. And I do feel like when I go to this Korean grocery store in Koreatown, they literally have everything from all the tools to different like food, like pre-prepared food, like ingredients. Everything is fascinating. And Yumi gets to explore different parts of Koreatown, starting from like the book mobile, where she can find like Korean books, and to the grocery stores and the bakery, and where else does she go? I think that is actually about it in Koreatown.
Yeah.
But then I show this Koreatown scene where I actually put these fun places that I love going to. So I always like showing the kids when I read the book that I actually put a place called the comic room in the second floor of the building when Yumi arrives in Koreatown. And comic room is where you can actually go in. It's like a library, but you do pay a little bit, but usually with very modest fee, you can read as many comic books as you'd like. And then a lot of times you can order snacks, and it's just such a fun place to be. So I included that. And I always go to like hair salons in Koreatown. So I have a hair salon in the Koreatown street where the rooster is a hairstylist. So all those little things that I put in for readers to spot.
Yeah.
So that is the fun adventure Yumi goes to. But what happens in the book is that Yumi is expecting all these fun things to happen, and she planned out everything. But unfortunately, nothing actually goes the way Yumi wanted to go. Her TV show gets canceled that she was going to watch. She doesn't get to make kimbap, like the Korean food that she was going to make for breakfast. And like her favorite treat is out in a bakery, all these little things. But she keeps an open mind. And even though things are not going her way, she is still having fun. Because when you keep an open mind, even when things are not going your way, you can still find fun in other places. Yeah. So she gets to actually try something different than what she was going to try. And she still loves it. And that's just being added to her favorite list. So those things, and keeping an open mind, I feel like that is the running theme of all my books, where you kind of like open to the new things and try out. So yeah, I don't necessarily think that's a lesson, but I hope that when readers see it, it kind of goes into their subconsciousness to be more open about new things that happen their way. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that is the lesson, I think, of the book that a lot of kids, I think, could learn from is, especially with the pandemic, I think that a lot of kids are kind of worried about trying something new. A lot of children are kind of dealing with anxiety or stress about maybe even being around different people or too many people. So I think the story does give that really nice message that, you keep an open mind, you never know what you will learn, and you might actually have some fun. So I do think it's a beautiful lesson. Okay, so I know we talked a little bit about the other two books in your series. They're right behind us, or right behind you, actually. So can you tell us a little bit about the illustrations? They're beautiful, colorful. You use all sorts of different animals to characterize the different characters in your book. To illustrate the different characters in your book. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Definitely. So inspiration for the illustrations are, I think, the hardest question to answer, because I think like the inspirations are really everywhere. Like from like those things that you didn't think that would be an inspiration, like a photo that you saw online, or something that you spot on a sidewalk, or actually all the books that I see all the time. Because aside from writing and illustrating my own books, I also design other people's children's books. So I get to actually work with these amazing illustrators. And that is a huge inspiration for me, for sure. Like getting to see the process of their work, working from very rough like sketches to like really beautiful finished pieces. That is always a great inspiration for me. Mm-hmm. So when I draw, I think things that I have the most fun with is actually adding details, like details that don't necessarily impact the story itself, but then details that readers can spot. Like whenever they go back to read the story again, I want them to spot something different, something new, something that they didn't see. So I pay attention to what kind of toys you may have, like what kind of clothes she's wearing, or what are Yumi's brothers doing in the background when that's not really the main focus of the story. And what kind of like plants grandma has. That kind of details is what makes me happy when I do the illustrations, because that I feel also build the characters in their own world. So yeah, that is my inspiration and things that I love doing.
Great. And do you have a reason or a story why you've chosen to portray Yumi and her family as cats or kittens?
It's a question that keeps coming up, and I wish I have a very good answer to that, other than the real reason is that I really like cats.
Yeah, that's reason enough. Yeah, that's a good reason.
Yeah, and I had a cat when I was working on these books, and I was drawing a lot of cats at the time. So it felt pretty natural to draw cats. And when I did the first book in the Yumi series, which is No Kimchi for Me, I actually didn't plan or expect to extend the series. Mm-hmm. So when we decided to do another book with Yumi and friends and family, I got to expand Yumi's world a little further outside of her household. So I got to draw her friends because she was doing taekwondo, like her master, like taekwondo master at the dojang. So then I actually got to think more about what other animals I can draw other than just liking that animal. Mm-hmm. So for example, in Let's Go to Taekwondo, Yumi's taekwondo master is a rabbit. And when I was deciding what kind of animal I wanted to draw, at first, like the tiger came to my mind because tiger kind of symbolizes that like strongness. And then also it's kind of like a national animal in Korea. So it made sense to me. Yeah. But as I was thinking it through, I also wanted to show through the illustration that like kind of imply the physical strongness is not the only thing that is important in this martial art, like where the spirit is considered to be very important as well. Mm. So even though you are a rabbit, like very like weak animal, like in this pyramid of this world, who might have all these like animals who are chasing after you, still you can be that strong master. Mm-hmm. So I drew a rabbit. So some animals I put thoughts into it, and some animals I drew them because I loved drawing them. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
No, I really do like that. I think that it's very inviting for kids to see animals because they are so interested in animals. I like to name the animals, and I think the way you describe the rabbit and the reason for having a rabbit as the taekwondo master is actually really good to know. I had no idea. And so, yeah, I think the other thing that I do appreciate about your book, and I'll go back to Sunday Funday in Koreatown, is that you bring up this topic of, trying new things or being frustrated because you're not getting what you want in a very, kind of casual, very casual way. And that I think that the child may not even know that they're learning about a different culture while they're reading this book. So they're kind of seeing Yumi, feel frustrated because she can't get this and this didn't happen and things just don't go her way. But in the meantime, the reader is also learning a little bit about Korean culture, foods, different words, the importance of, the multi-generational connection in the Korean family. So I think it was done very beautifully, maybe not intentionally by you, but it's something I think that the reader might pick up on. So
I really appreciate that. I'm so glad to hear it because that's actually what I really wanted to do with my books, like showing that Korean culture and heritage as part of their life, but that's not the focal point. Right. So anyone who reads can relate to Yumi's experience of being frustrated, but also finding something new to find fun. But then on the way, they just kind of learn like what
are out there as a Korean culture.
Right.
So I am really happy to hear that.
Great. So now that we're talking about Korean culture a little bit, I wanted to ask you, you know, and maybe this is something you didn't even think about when you're writing the books because you're so passionate about your own upbringing and your own culture, but why do you think it's important for Asians and Asian Americans to share their heritage stories? Obviously, in Asian society, we are very committed to that. What the Own Voices virtual reading room is all about. But do you have any thoughts on that?
Definitely. I mean, in the fundamental matter, everyone has a story to tell, and everyone has a right to tell their own stories. And seeing the story out there, reflecting who you are, is very encouraging and inspiring. And I think in turn, it makes viewers or readers to want to create their own stories and share with others. Yeah, and at the same time, I want the culture of like everyone's culture, but then like for me, it's the Asian culture, the Korean culture. I want the kids to see it as part of the big society that they are part of outside of their household, because I think it is common for Asians and Asian Americans to be immersed in that culture in their household, but they don't see much of it when they go out. But like by seeing it, by sharing, like for us to sharing it and making it more public, more visible for everyone, it does encourage everyone to tell their stories and make them realize that they are part of this big society. So I think it is always very important to share our heritages with others. And I actually love reading about other culture. It just fascinates me. And I think that is actually the best part about living in New York, where this like diverse culture exists. And as we briefly talked about Queens before, it's such a diverse neighborhood. I feel like I can never live outside of Queens after experiencing this rich diversity. So I think it is really important, like, to increase the visibility of who consists of our society that we are living in. And even as an adult, I get excited when I see a Korean character in a book and I spot the similarities in culture and what they do in everyday life. So I think especially for kids, having that as a norm, like spotting their own culture and what they do in their house as part of what their friends see in the book, in the movies, in the TVs, is so important to make them not even realize that, just like make it solid, that everyone is the part of the society.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I really love hearing you say that because maybe you experienced this as well. Growing up, there were not that many books representing, all the different cultures that are represented in the United States or even around the world. And now it's just really, amazing at how many books there are. And, just the level of Korean American authors there are even right now for children's books, talking about a variety of different things, from the food, from the family to immigration, just a variety of different topics that I think students can really learn from. And I think, as you know, as an author, and I believe that, children can learn a lot from books. It's one of the best ways to learn, and adults can too. And so, thank you for saying that. And I do absolutely agree with you. My final question to you, which I think we did touch upon a little bit, is the lessons that you would like, families or children to learn from your book. And I know you've said a few things already, but are any other final thoughts you have on that?
Yeah, definitely. First and foremost, I want them to have fun reading my books. I think that is always the most important thing.
I don't think that's going to be a problem. Okay.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. Because when I was a kid, I always loved reading fun books. And that is always very important for me as an author illustrator, that kids have fun reading my books. And as for the lesson, I do wish that it kind of comes across to the kids and families to keep an open mind about what's happening around them. And it is okay if things are not going as they planned. Just keep an open mind and you will find a new world. And that also applies to the adults too, not only the kids, because I think kids are always kind of in a place to learn something new, like inevitably, right? But then once we grow up, once we become an adult, I think it's so easy to stay in a comfort zone. But we also need to put ourselves out of our comfort zone to expand our world. So yeah, like in Let's Go to Taekwondo, grandma actually learns how to do a video call along with Yumi, who's learning Taekwondo. So I did want to show both kids and adults that we always should be learning constantly and then keeping an open mind. So yeah, I hope that it kind of goes into their subconsciousness that they do want to keep an open mind and try something new and keep learning no matter how old they are or how young they are.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a beautiful message. And for those of you that are interested in learning about some of Aram's more, her other two books, we've got Let's Go Taekwondo, which she touched upon, and No Kimchi for Me, which are also just as beautiful. And you get to see Yumi kind of go through some more adventures and learn some more lessons. So they're very beautiful books. I want to thank you very much for joining us today. And to our audience, thank you for joining the Own Voices Virtual Reading Room, and we will see you next time. Have a great day.